Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Shred the Veil, where we look at what's really going on behind the scenes. I'm excited today to have our guest here with us, Mandelyn Reese, also known as the Street Angel. And she has a pretty amazing story, and she really helps to enlighten people and improve their lives and put out positive energy to the world. And it's something we definitely need more of. And yet, Derek, you had the pleasure of meeting her over the summer, and from that, we were able to be interviewed on her show on the Street Angel on her YouTube channel. And yeah, we had a great conversation. I was listening back to it recently, actually, and I just remember how fun that was being on your show and having that discussion. So we're really glad to have you here with us today. And
Thank you.
yeah, welcome. So if you want, you get started. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about your background so our audience can get to know you, your journey, and what you do and how you got to where you are. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure chatting with you guys, having higher consciousness chats. I would say our show we did together on my talk show is definitely one of the more controversial ones. So it was pretty cool though. A little about me. I had basically lived in Texas my whole life, and then I moved to Los Angeles in 2012. So Mayan calendar year, which is huge for this new age shift. And I followed a boyfriend I had at the time who got a job out there. And so that was my intention for moving. It wasn't, oh, I'm going to go get famous or be this or that or an actress. Like, no. But I move out there. And as soon as I got out there, day two, because I got there at night and then settled in, and the next day I'm basically on LA soil, and I just got blasted with a higher calling. And I
Mm.
always tell everyone it hit me just like a sledgehammer, because like I just blurted it out to my friend who was with me in the car. One of my friends who's known me since kindergarten, her name is Claire. She had come out with me to help me get kind of settled in moving out there. And she had a rental car. And I was just sitting there next to her and basically blurted out, I feel like I'm supposed to go out on the streets with posters about kindness. And she looks at me like I'm crazy, like, what? And she's like, we're going to talk about this later, but for now we got to go over here. So that's just how it hit me, as weird as that is. And it was this divine download that was just like working on me and giving me ideas and telling me what I needed to do. And it felt like it wasn't from me, like wasn't my idea. It was like
Wow.
divine's idea. I'm just God's paintbrush, right? So I had the idea, okay, I got to order some wings, and I get on eBay and I'm like finding stuff. Just like I ordered my first few wings off of eBay, because I think this was before Amazon was big. And I went and bought some posters at Office Max, and I bought the big posters, like the giant ones. So when I first started, I took about a month planning, and then I picked a spot where I was going to go, and it was an outdoor Starbucks that had like a patio with people on it. And during this time, I had broken up with the boyfriend, and I was basically on my own. No boyfriend, no job, no friends, no family, nothing to go on except this calling that I had.
Yeah.
No support from the boyfriend. He thought I was crazy. So basically, I started on a street corner in Los Angeles, and with dressed like an angel. And I had giant wings, like big ones that kind of were out to here and dragged on the ground at the tips, and they
Mhm.
were heavy. They hurt.
Wow.
I had the giant posters. So it's like when I first started, I was really making the strongest impact, like the brightest, craziest light. And I was questioning my sanity too. I'm sitting there like, am I crazy for doing this? Like, what am I doing? Like, when you really think about it, like I'm in this new kid on the block. I have no idea what LA is like. I have nobody with me, and I'm shaking like a leaf, and I'm getting these wings out of my trunk, and I was just questioning my sanity for a little bit. But I was like, I just had to do it. And so I'm like, all right, here it goes. So, I go and I stand on the street corner, and I actually got quite a bit of support that first few moments. And one guy I think was probably an angel in disguise, because he comes walking along with a little girl in his hand, and he's like, "Oh, I own a meditation center. Here, come and join us." And that was one of my first contacts. I feel like as I was moving along in this calling, God was always giving me breadcrumbs, like, here's your next contact, or here's your next place you need to go. So, and that first day I visited 2 or 3 spots. One point I just pulled over to get some gas, and I hear some people say, "An angel." And that turned out to be one of my really good friends that I met that first day on the angel job. It was an old man and a couple of his friends, and he led me to a lot of cool contacts that furthered my angel thing and helped me make connections.
Wow.
And it was just cool because he took me to a lot of stuff. He took me under his wing, basically. And so I really appreciated him.
Your
And
intention that first time you did it, your intention wasn't just to go out and meet people, it was basically just to spread love and show a sign of, what your
right.
signs were saying.
I guess I should show some, but these are, so over the time, I've made them smaller and more, easily to move around. And I've also made sure that they're like epoxied or laminated. This is epoxy, this is laminate. But because in the beginning, I mean, the weirdest things would happen to my posters, like soup dumped on one of them one time. And I'm like, you know how long it takes me to make these things? And I'm like, oh, I gotta have some protection, because I put a lot of time and creativity and art into making them. And it's on purpose to go to people's inner child with the colors and the glitter and the stickers and just trying to remind people to be kind to their fellow humans. And so I've had all different posters throughout the 10 years. Like, here's another one, like, "You matter, be yourself." That one's kind of beat up. It's been a lot of places, do kind things. These are my basic ones about kindness, is just universal, really. Spread kindness. It's one of my main ones I go out with. I like this one. Serve others with care and love. This one's kind of longer, so it's a little harder for me to transport around. That's why I started trying to be compact, and especially with like Hollywood events, it's been helpful to have smaller ones. And there would be times where I'd have fold-up posters where it's like I look like I'm all incognito, and I'd go into like high-end places and bust out this, like unfold it, and it's like I have a sign on the red carpet. So
Nice.
it was really cool how it led me to all these places and getting, and then like in the beginning, I did get thrown out of a few places, just like a couple places. They're like, "What are you doing? And you look weird, and why are you wearing that?" And but the more I was doing it, the more people got comfortable with me and then recognized me. And then suddenly I was getting invited rather than rejected. And I was like, I would go to any event and people knew who I was already. So it's like I already had friends anywhere I would go. And then it started to be people would recognize me on the street without my wings. And I was like, I feel like I was kind of on the fast track to fame, and I was kind of overwhelmed, and I got burned out, and I left LA twice to just kind of hit the reset button and take a break from it, because it actually takes a lot of energy to do what I was doing. And people would say, "We've never seen anyone do what you're doing." I'm like, well, it's God's doing. I'm always like giving the credit to, the higher divine. Like, I'm just God's paintbrush. I'm just meant to be a walking human billboard. But when people feel uncomfortable with the messages or with the posters, it's like they want to attack the messenger. And I've had to endure a lot of bullying, which is why I started creating anti-bullying posters as well. So yeah, I don't mean to be rambling on, but I get all passionate about talking about it. So do y'all have any other questions or comments?
Oh, that's a great story. I was going to ask you, what was the street that you first started, our corner you started on, just out of curiosity?
I believe it was on Bundy Street, right by Santa Monica Boulevard. And there's like a Starbucks there, but not right at the corner. It's kind of a little bit in from Bundy and Santa Monica Boulevard. There's another cross street, but I can't remember what it is right now. But I lived right there in that right off, like there's Bundy and then there's Brockton, and I lived on Brockton. So it's like I just particularly picked somewhere close to home in case it was a disaster, and so
That's good.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, go
did
ahead.
your connections as you were doing this and the people you met, the networks you made, allow you to find like job opportunities or what a source of income while you were doing this? I mean, and like how often did you go out with the signs? Was it like every day or?
Oh, okay. So I did I went out with the posters and the sign many times a week. I mean, obviously not 24/7,
Mhm.
but most of the time. I do it a lot less now, only because Texas doesn't seem to care that much about my mission. I actually feel like I got way more attention and support in LA, and they've told me, people in LA, including actor Keanu Reeves, he even said you'd be better out in LA. We need you in LA.
Oh, wow.
But it's just overwhelming. But no, I really didn't make any money at it. I didn't really ask for money unless it was an emergency. Like I did one time do a little, like a fundraiser, because my laptop and my camera was breaking, and I'm like, well, I need these things for my angel mission. I'm like, how am I supposed to be posting about the donation drives I'm doing, and taking pictures? And a lot of the time I would take video clips and stuff as a way to make ripple effects in society, like encourage people to pick up trash. And I would demonstrate, pick up this, recycle that. Like I was encouraging people to, like, being an example. And another good thing is, like, if I'm out promoting these messages, I also strive to be an example of it in my daily activities or in my activities for humanity. So that's why I would also be doing donation drives for the homeless and taking them out there myself and distributing them, and participating in other groups that were doing similar stuff. We had a beach cleanup as a group one time. And so it's like, I was just constantly being active and finding things to immerse myself in LA, and volunteer work, charity help, mission work, like all kinds of stuff related to what I was doing, but just branching out basically. So
Did you always have that passion for humanity your whole life, or was that not until the download that it kind of like triggered something and really took off for you?
I guess that, I
Yeah.
mean, I've always feel like I've been a nice, kind person. I feel like I've always been considerate of others. And even since I was a little kid, I never could understand why people were mean to each other. It always felt really foreign and weird to me. Like I just didn't understand it. And I actually had a guy think I was an angel when I was a kid on the beach one time. He asked me, "Are you an angel?" And I was like, I don't know. I don't think so. So I don't know, maybe I had it in me this whole time, but I wasn't activated. I wasn't slapped with the awakening and enlightenment, because with the calling also, I was led to these different healing places, meditation places, healers, workshops. And I felt like had so much enlightenment hit me. And all these things just kept expanding my consciousness. And so it really just, I just felt a lot of passion for the mission, and making sure that I was doing things in alignment with the poster messages, to also be an example for others to follow. Like, make sure you're helping others. Like, and LA needs it so terribly. Like, I mean,
Right.
it's getting chronic. Like their homeless problem, it gets worse every year, and I don't know if they're doing enough about it.
Probably not. I was going to tell you that, like, we'll ask you too. I mean, first, what were you initially going to LA for? What was the reason? But also, do you think that going there and being in that environment triggered you? And that's why it happened when it didn't. And for you to follow that calling and listen to your inner voice, that's huge. Like, I think a lot of people wouldn't have the courage to do that. But yeah, what was your initial reason for going
uh to
to
LA.
LA? Yeah,
Oh, to follow the boyfriend who he
that
got
was all.
I met him in San Antonio, Texas, online at Plenty of Fish. And
Okay.
we hadn't even been dating that long. And then he got laid off from his job and he was frantically looking for another one. And an old company he used to work for offered him a job, but it was starting up in Los Angeles as a management job. And he's like, well, gosh, I really want this job and it's going to pay well, but I really don't want to ditch you. So he's like, hey, want to come with me? I mean, we'd only been dating like 2 months, so it's really a bizarre thing to say yes to.
Right.
But it felt like the call of adventure. And I was like, okay. And then we were apart for a couple months because he took off to start the job and I had to pack my, stuff and sell stuff and have a garage sale. And so basically, it was a big process to finally move out there. And then by the time I moved out there, it's like we had been apart too much. And I don't know, we weren't really connecting and it wasn't really working out anymore. And then I was like, what are we doing? And so
there you are.
I was just abandoned basically out there in LA with the calling. That's all I had was this activation I got. And luckily it was just so powerful. And it gave me these ideas and places to go. And I was looking up events on wherever, Facebook events or Meetup or whatever I had at the time. I don't remember. But I would just go or buy tickets or show up and that's just kind of how I started making more connections. And then I had weird support from weird places. I just never know who was like going to help me in their own way. It was just interesting.
So I guess my point, or what I figured maybe you would have at least, well, how do you survive besides your boyfriend? Did you plan to survive? Or was just kind of making side jobs where you could find work at the same time while this sort of came about?
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, well, basically I'm licensed in cosmetology. And so I was working some odd jobs in that. And then I started just really focused on doing body work and reflexology. And then as I was in LA learning so many techniques, like that's actually what I was really drawn to is healing work. Because I had just got my license. And but then I got out to LA. And so it was like, okay, I was introduced to all these different kinds of alternative healing things, modalities and healers. And I was just absorbing and learning. And anything that I noticed that worked on me, that I felt a shift in my energy or a blockage removed, it's like, okay, I wanted to learn and create and apply to my own clients.
Right.
And then I just kept getting more licenses and certifications. Well, not any more licenses, but I got more certifications and like Reiki 1 and 2, reflexology 1 and 2. And then I learned crystal therapy. And my favorite of all is multi-vibrational sound therapy instruments. Oh, wow. And I just kept adding more of those to my repertoire and my goodie bag of supplies and stuff. And learning how to bless and clear people's auras and chakras. And so I just kept adding and adding and adding and to where I eventually even like I have my own healing CD where it's a guided meditation with sound instruments. So it helps clear people's chakra, each one at a time, and clear out old baggage. And that's another benefit of like meditation is getting into that inner voice, getting your ideas. And you can literally create products just by birthing the idea. And then you have to, manifest it in the physical. But yeah, that was basically, now I have like, I basically call myself a shaman healer because I've learned so many cool things and I know so many and I also got certified as like a health coach and a life coach. And I went to the Love Coach Academy, so technically a love coach too. And so basically, every client, every person is a unique being with their own problems and pains and issues. And so I like to have a very holistic approach to and all different things that I can coach people on, whatever they're going through, whatever they feel comfortable opening up to talk to me about. Then right. I basically seize the opportunity, and I do angel card readings as well. And I've done some of those privately. And that was one thing I did for money. Angel card readings?
Yeah. How does that work?
So it's not like tarot. You can do tarot, but what I have are basically angel cards and like oracle card mixtures. So you basically, I like to pray over the cards and just ask it to get answers for your highest good. And then, pull however many cards it feels relevant. Is that the right word? Relevant at the time.
Uh-huh.
But that's also something I would do for side money and hustle as well, is do private readings. And so, yeah, I mean, I've been able to survive and make it, and I'm grateful for that. So.
That's great. That's a huge challenge in LA. I know. I know a couple friends that might have gone out there and tried to become an actor or whatever. And yeah, I've just heard stories that it's not the nicest place to be. It's rough.
It's true story. I mean, it's tough for people, especially in that realm, because the competition, people come from all over the world. I mean, you got beautiful, talented people. It's like all the people who won prom king and queen collect in LA and then compete with each other. I mean, it's crazy how many beautiful, talented, smart, like people that can dance and model and sing and act and some of bunch of different things at once. I mean, the level of competition is just fierce. So it's like if you don't bring it, and I believe it was Sharon Stone. I read a quote she had where she's like, you can only sleep your way to the middle, then you have to claw your way to the top. It's a terrible line, but I'm like, that's pretty much LA. Like,
right. And that's what I was gonna say. I mean, there's all the darker side of Hollywood and LA, and just getting in to become whatever, and you got to become part of this club almost that is a little twisted, I'm sure, and there's a lot of the dark stuff like that. But for you to survive that or not have to go through that or stay above it and to use your energy and your positive light there is really saying a lot. And it's I'm sure a lot of hard work. So thank you for that.
I mean, luckily I wasn't in that group of people that's fiercely competing for parts and acting gigs and modeling gigs. Like, that wasn't my focus at all. It was all just angel mission and angel healing work and whatever I could do in that realm. But I was an interesting person because I was straddling the line between I hang out with the red carpet crowd and all the I mean, not celebrity, but all the people that did red carpet stuff. There's a certain type of people. And then on the other side, I was hanging out, mingling with all the healers and the higher consciousness people and hippies and weirdos and all that stuff. And then I would also go and do random events like business people, that meetups and just people who are just working LA, not in that scene. So it was like I was just kind of everywhere, mixing, mingling, and I was like a chameleon. I would just shapeshift whatever outfit I had to wear to fit in. And I would go to some weird stuff too, but I mean, it just worked, I guess, because like I could just blend easily, even though I have wings on. I know how to, like, I don't know, morph myself to fit in with whoever I'm trying to get. The poster messages basically it's just meant to be a walking human billboard. Go here, go there, and wander around and just remind people of basic messages.
Wow.
So, I don't know.
I have one other random question, like, because it doesn't really matter who in the celebrity world or whatever, but some people people might know who are popular. Who was somebody or one of your favorite connections you made, say with like a celebrity that was supportive of what you did and things like that?
Okay. Kate Hudson seemed really like excited to meet me. She had like a talk and like a book release, and I went and got to meet her, and she's like, oh my God, you're wearing wings, you're so cute. And I met Andy Dick, the comedian, but Keanu Reeves was one of the best meetings because it was just so fortuitous that I had just posted on my Facebook page a picture of Keanu Reeves in the Matrix with his hand out blocking the bullets.
Yeah.
I had just posted it 2 days before meeting him, and I was said with the post, I was like, I'm blocking bullies like Keanu in the Matrix. And then the whole universe conspires to get me to meet him. And like I was doing a business meeting in a hotel, and it was pretty dead. There was like hardly anyone in there. And this in this lobby area was seating, and my business person I was talking to, he's like, oh my God, Keanu Reeves is right there. And I'm like, huh? And he was like 10 feet away by himself to my left. And I just was like, holy crap, what do I do? I was like, I can't miss this moment. Like, I feel like this is meant to be. I just posted about it, and so that was one of the scariest things I've ever done, besides starting on the street corner, was going up to an A-list celebrity, because you never know if you're going to annoy the hell out of them, or like they're going to be rude, or like tell you no. But I basically was just like shaking like a leaf, and I'm like, so I have this mission. And he's like, that's cool. And he like shook my hand and took a picture, and that was just really cool.
Very
And
cool.
then one of my other friends worked at MGM Studios, and he said he ran into Keanu Reeves sometime after that on a set for something. And he took that moment to have a conversation about me, just because it was something that connected them. He knew that I had talked to him. And he is asking, so you met the street angel? And Keanu was like, yeah. And that was when he had said that he thought I should be in LA because I would have a bigger reach.
Right.
But LA has burned me out twice, so I'm kind of scared to go back.
Maybe give it some more time. There's always more time when I'm sure you'll be so big by then. You might have enough angels behind you guiding you if you go back.
Maybe. Yeah, that's something I've always was like, I need more support. Like, I cannot handle fame without enough support, whatever that looks like. God would know, what hopefully would lead me the right people for that next level. Because I guess I just didn't feel ready for that, or something.
Yeah, it seems like you have a lot of synchronicities and just energies and vibrations that pull things to you or show you different things to tap you into where you need to be in your life. So that's pretty cool that you're able to follow that and have that intuition.
Yep.
Like when you got your download, I guess have you had other like major downloads since then, or is it kind of just like a gradual thing, the energy that kind of stays with you and gives you ideas and propels you along?
Yeah, kind of more of gradual stuff. Like, and it's usually when I go to healing or meditation events where I can really focus on that. And you get walked through like breath work processes, or just tuning into your higher self or your guides, or whatever it is, that I find that to be the most beneficial, to actually go to like a retreat where you can focus on that stuff and make some progress. I have a very hard time forcing myself to meditate, living like just as myself. I don't know, it drives me crazy because I'll think about it like I really should meditate, and then I don't do it, and I'm like, why is it so hard to just sit down and meditate? It's not like you have to do anything except meditate. But it's like, when sometimes I swear I do think I have a little bit of ADD or ADHD, just adult version of it, and I'm just always like just easily distracted and want to do this, want to do that, and run off and clean this and move that, and I don't know, it's hard to sit down and meditate. So it's like, I love going to retreats and focus, and I make so much progress and get ideas, and on my next steps or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're not the only one. I mean, I think if we all been, it's like habits, of course. Like, you want to pick up good habits like that when you're young, and then if you did it when you were young, or taught that was a good way to relax or whatever, I'm sure it'd be so much easier for most people. But I'm the same way. I mean, it's very difficult to find the time and really make yourself do that. And that's why, like, I think maybe we've discussed that before in the past, but like finding your own bliss or center of peace or calm or whatever it might be. And it might be just listening to music or going for a walk somewhere. But I think that's good for people to know too, those other forms of meditation in a way, even though it's not this traditional type.
Yeah. Or journaling or take a bath. I mean, sometimes even just a nap, like maybe you're napping, but you're not really sleeping. Like maybe you're just like being in a space of quiet and you can just kind of pay attention to your thoughts for a little while. Like, but everybody's different, whatever would work for them.
Yeah, it
But
doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to be any certain structure. I think a lot of times people put this framework around what meditation or just tapping into your inner self looks like, and it kind of gets them in their head, and they can't, you know, get out of that one thought of what it's supposed to be, and then they never get there. So yeah, you
yeah,
just gotta relax with it for sure. Yeah.
totally. I want to like sidestep for a second and just kind of make a comment about the whole fame thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm such a contradiction because I feel like when people are paying attention to me in the posters, I feel like I'm in my divine purpose and I feel really happy. But at the same time, on the other side of the coin, it's like I'm scared of fame. I don't want to be famous. I don't want all the crap that comes with it
Right.
because just my sampling of fame was it does attract so many trolls,
Oh yeah.
mean people that like the light I portray. Like I feel like it's my rainbow self is out there, all colorful and weird. And I like to really dress up for events and like I play with life, wear a costume, wear something colorful, cute. My posters are glittery, stickers, colorful, cute. But it's like I have this inner child fear of okay, I don't really want the attention, but I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. A friend of mine once said, it's like the stronger your light, the bigger your light, the more shadow you'll cast. Like you're a shadow caster along of all these other people, and
Yeah.
maybe when you're in that limelight, right? So
Well, and one of the biggest criticisms I've been getting are like people who I guess they look at me. I don't know if it's my posters make them uncomfortable or if it's just what I'm doing makes them uncomfortable. I don't know. Everybody's different, right? Nobody's going to see you the same. Everyone's got their own unique opinion in the world. But one of the biggest critics or criticisms I get is, oh, she's just doing it for attention. And for me, that feels like it's offensive and it's like a very personal attack because I'm like, okay, clearly you haven't taken a moment to go read my mission statement or look, research me for the last 10 years and everything that I do with the mission. Instead, you just want to lowball criticize me. Oh, she's just doing it for attention. Like, do you even read the messages? Do you see the beauty behind what I'm doing? Do you care how important it is? Like you don't see billboards reminding people to be kind, but you do have news stations blaring how someone's shot every 5 minutes.
yeah,
Like, why can't people be supportive of what I'm trying to do, instead of cutting me down? And it bewilders me, but I recognize it's something I can't get away from.
Yeah. And
There's
when you
always
have those
going to be
criticisms,
haters.
for sure. Yeah, and when you have the haters and the people that are criticizing you, those criticisms are just reflections of themselves that they're projecting onto you. Like if they can't imagine that someone would just have a good message and want to spread love in the world. That's like they're wired in a way where, oh, they just
right.
want attention because like that's what they want. They was like, oh, I would want attention too. That's the world they live in, so it's hard for them to relate. So yeah, you're it's going to be challenging for sure. I can't imagine what you go through when you're doing that.
Yeah. And I don't run out asking everyone for money and donations and tips. Like I don't do that. So
Mhm.
to be honest with you, I've been doing it like 10 years basically for free just because it's my calling, my mission. Like
Mhm.
I don't even know how to monetize it. If like I'm just my brain just doesn't really go that way. Like I don't know how to do that without looking bad or, of course the haters would seize upon that. Kind of like Adventures with Purpose. I think they're a really cool group. Like they go out and they find people dead in their cars and lakes and stuff and give families closure and get to bury these people who have been missing.
Oh,
And
wow.
they have all these haters drilling on them about, oh, they're just doing it for money. It's like, but they're doing such a good thing. People gotta live. They need to have money to get supplies. They need money to feed their
Yeah.
kids while they're diving and getting bodies. Like, why
Yeah.
do people have to hate on people for needing money to survive when you're doing your purpose?
Yeah.
It pisses me off, you know?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
You're still doing the healing work. You're still doing the stuff that's benefiting so many people. Just because you have to do something to feed yourself to be able to do it, it's like,
pay the rent.
yeah,
And why would we would much rather be supporting somebody doing that and calling like that than like, oh, just having to just survive and paying the man and the corporations to live this whatever life they have to live. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of a hypocritical thing for them to look at it that way. It's like you're trying to help the system and fix the system however you can, so why not help support those people, right?
Yeah.
Makes
have you ever gone out with your signs and your wings and like attracted other people to do the same thing? Like had a little
sense.
army of street angels. I could just like envision that, people wanting to help spread your message. If you had ever had like groups trying to help you, or individuals wanting to support you and do that with you.
Yes and no. And this is kind of a sad conversation for me, because that was another thing I recently was really bullied about, was that, why am I the only one? You're being selfish being the street angel. Like, that's a very ignorant thing for you to say to me, because at least I am doing something. For 10 years, I do like a lot for the world. And so I have had a handful of people throughout the 10 years offer to join me and leave me their number or email, and I would absolutely follow up with them, and then they would blow me off. So I really have not had anybody join me, with exception of one time. There was a little group we kind of put together, and we went out to the promenade in Santa Monica. And it was kind of a co-creative thing where I was wearing the street angel wings, and they were having posters about, I don't remember what their posters were, but they weren't wearing wings, but they wanted to just join and do their kind of their own positive message thing. And we were giving hugs to people and stuff. So it was kind of a conglomerate, but it wasn't all street angels. But with I had a clique of girlfriends, and I had asked them, I'm like, hey, would y'all ever put on wings and join me? And they kind of blew me off, and I would basically have to grab my posters and shove it in their hands and let's take some pictures. They would never like join me voluntarily or be excited to be a part of it with me, but they
Right,
wanted to talk shit about me behind my back and criticize me for being the only street angel. I'm like, I
Wow.
asked you guys to join me. Why are you talking crap?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
No.
basically, I had to shed that group of girls, because I was like, y'all don't make any sense right now. Like, I can't have this people talking bad about me, but then they don't want to join the mission. Okay. So, it's been hard. It's been really tough just doing this mission. And sometimes I feel like I am a flawed, messed up, screwed up human being, and people, would attack that if I get too much fame or whatever. It's like hard being a street angel with getting attention. And when I don't want the attention, but I do, it's really weird. It's very confusing for me.
It makes sense though. It makes sense. Yeah. I mean, we're all, flawed human beings, and you get the spotlight shown on you, and it's just even, all of you gets highlighted. So it's you can't hide that stuff. But
Yeah.
I think that's a shame. I would think more people would be inspired by this. I mean, just listening to you, I would be very inspired by what you're doing, and I think people would get excited about it. But
You and me both. I mean, especially when I was in LA and I was being extremely active, that I was like, why don't I have more people joining me? Why
Yeah.
aren't more people coming? Like, I thought in my head, if I started this, that I was gonna like wake people up, and I would have more people come, and we would be parading through the streets with posters and kindness and angel wings and messages, and it never happened. And it's been a huge letdown for me, thinking like, how come people don't seem to care? You
Mhm.
know, but people will, get together in these huge parades for Black Lives Matter. And I understand that's important too, but how come they aren't also parading for kindness and positive messages and peace and stuff
Yeah.
like that? You know
When
what I'm
there's
saying?
not exactly, and when there's not some reason or specific reason or even agenda behind it, or it has to be a certain month or whatever, why not just do it randomly? Say, that should be the case. And I was curious, have you, because you do travel a lot, have you, like, and I'm sure with fans like that follow you, would you be able to say, hey, I'm going to be here in this city at such and such time, and I'm going to be at least, parading at this time of day or this date? Has that ever kind of been something that works?
Actually, I've never really done that where I give people a heads up, only because,
Of course, it would probably bring the trolls too, but yeah.
right.
But
'Cause
that
usually
could
when I
be
go, I'm kind of by myself
Mhm.
oftentimes. And
Right.
I don't know, that's something to think about. Like, even with my I did kind of have a stalker person in my hometown. And
Mhm.
so that's why I don't really announce where I'm going to be. And if I do, like one time I was going to have a workshop, I basically hid the address and said, okay, you have to pay $20 to RSVP for this workshop to get the address. And it's tough that I have to do that, but there's also, when you're a human, it's like, you also got to be aware of your safety too.
Yes. Yes.
So it's got weird challenges where it's like, I want to be out there more and I want to do more stuff. And you got to have a lot of courage to do that. I
Oh
mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
unfortunately, there are stories on YouTube of girls getting shot and stabbed by stalker guys and obsessed people. And you never know. I guess if it's your time, it's your time. Like, feel like I have been divinely protected, but there's also a little bit of fear to it, of making myself so vulnerable, more
Right.
than I already do. So,
You must be protected. I think you, to survive LA twice, two different, times in your life. But yeah, I think you have to listen to your inner voice like you've always done to know what's the best decision, especially exposing or yourself or letting people know where you're going to be at any time. But yeah, that's tough. That's a tough one. And that just reminds me of like what we talked about when we started. It was like you have to have that self love and like self healing and all that you
yeah,
do, and before you can really go on to help others too, right? So
that is so important. Yeah.
mhm.
Like your brother Daniel had said, I think it was you who said, you can't fill other people's cups if yours is empty. It's like same thing. Like if you're sad or depressed or drained or depleted, you can't go and help others. You have to address your own needs and make sure you're not sad and depressed. Like, service to others should be a happy, positive thing. But
Mhm.
if you're feeling miserable, then you got to like kind of figure out why. What do I need? Or what do I need to go get a massage? Do I need to go to a counselor? Like, you have to just try to figure out what is your self telling you that you need to take care of you.
Right. And
It's not
maybe
being
that's
selfish. When people think
yeah.
that's being selfish, when they're in that mode of like, I got to serve other people, they think it's selfish to take care of themselves, but it's not. You're actually helping people even more by bringing your full self, restored and ready to go versus being completely depleted, and you can't really function that way. So it's really important to people to understand that distinction between, being selfish and taking care of yourself, if you're in the service mentality all the time.
And it's a fine line to walk, because you can
Mhm.
feel guilty as a giver, or someone who's a being of service. You can have moments where you feel guilty of resting, or like,
Mhm.
should I be doing this, or do I really need to be taking this time off? Like, you could be questioning yourself, like, or
Yep.
I struggle with, should I be doing more? But then I remember when I did more and I burned out twice, and I'm like, okay, I got to be careful doing more, and how much more can I handle? And especially when I'm getting older and more body pains, and it's just kind of like, okay, how much can I do? And I've been getting more hate and bullies, and that that wails on me energetically. It drains me. It really hurts my heart. And when bullies attack, and this is why it's so important to get the message out. It's like a broken record in your brain. They keep attacking you, even though they might have said it one time. Your brain remembers it, and it's like beats on you for the rest of your damn life. So it sucks, when people attack and their words cut, and it's like seared into your brain, and then you're trying to work through that or beyond their cut down.
Right. That only makes you stronger, though. I know. I'm sure it's tough, but I'm sure it's going to make you stronger. You remind me a lot of when you say things about the bullying, like Laura Eisenhower, that we are good friends with. We know she's gone through that. So we've seen in the disclosure movement, you do get attacked quite a lot. She's had to go through a lot, but we luckily haven't seen that yet from our side. But yeah, with anything, you're gonna have to stand in that, in the pressures of that, and combative people for sure.
Yeah, I remember hearing about, do you know Marianne Williamson?
I'm not sure.
She's big in the spiritual community. She's a big motivational speaker and author, and she even tried to run for Congress a while back, but she had somebody stand up in one of her huge auditorium rallies and bully the crap out of her in front of thousands of people. So you never know when it's going to happen, and it's just crazy to be faced with that kind of thing. And how do you even act? I guess you won't know until it hits you in the moment. You're just like sucker punched, like, oh. So it's crazy. I don't know.
That reinforces even more why you have to be so, self-care, taking care of yourself, and make sure that you are aligned with, whatever it is you're speaking on, and just feeling totally confident with it, and comfortable that you can handle those things. Because if you're gonna put yourself out there, you have to be able to understand that you're gonna have to be able to work through that stuff as it comes. But when you don't know when it's gonna happen, it's like it's kind of scary for sure. Yeah, I can imagine.
The saddest thing I've encountered are basically the people absolutely closest to me, like that I've let into my inner circle, or maybe my lover or a family member or ex-best friend. It's like they know what to say to hurt me the worst, and like those attacks, like they're just horrible, and it sucks to be on the receiving end of that. And so that's another reason I've had some struggles in these last couple years, where I'm just like constantly verbally abused. And I'm just like, why am I going through this? It's like, I don't get it. But I'm like trying to just keep going. I'm trying to just keep going. And it's tough,
That's amazing that you've gone this long. I mean, you said you just made the 10-year mark, right? Recently.
August 17th. Yeah.
That's great. Wow.
Yeah. And so maybe I don't go out as often as I used to. Like I used to do so much, volunteer activity hours and donation drives. And whereas I don't do as much of that as I used to, I still do things with myself where like I make gift baggies for the homeless that I keep in stock in my car, and I give them out as needed to homeless people I see. And I'll paint little rocks with uplifting messages and all over, and I'll go and leave them out for strangers to find. And I also write something I'm working on now, which I do every year, is I make holiday cards with uplifting quotes inside, and I put a little thin ornament, and I give them out to strangers that I interact with out. Just like I went to FedEx the other day, and I was like, here's a card with uplifting messages. And like the girl almost cried. She hadn't even opened it yet. She's like, I really need this. And it's like those moments that make me feel good about what I'm doing, and just to keep going. And just, if you can't help 100 people, just help one. It's kind of like a Mother Teresa said, if you can't feed 100 people, feed one. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Like, even if I don't have the energy or the willpower to go make millions of people look at my angel thing, like whatever. At least I can do little things for individuals just to make their day, you know?
Yeah, it's still an impact, and I love those ideas, and it could be a huge impact for that individual depending on their circumstances, no matter what it is. If it's the rock or whatever, the inspiration they could get from that is whatever circumstance they're in. You never know, so that's awesome. I like the creativity
Yeah.
with it too. Yeah.
Every once in a while, a person will post on their Instagram that they found one, and that's always really nice. Like to feel like, okay, good, it did its job. Like it uplifted that person to the point where they were motivated to post an Instagram about it, finding it and what it meant for them. And that's really special for me. So that's like gasoline in my tank. And there's
Mhm.
this analogy where, you know, a guy's walking along picking up starfish on the beach and throwing it back in the ocean. And someone comes along and they're like, you know, what are you doing? You know, you can never possibly save all these starfish. It's like, well, at least I made a difference for that one, you know, that I chunked in
Right.
there. Like just trying to be good, do good. And, you know, I think we all want to matter in this world, right? I feel like my angel mission really gives my life a lot of meaning and like purpose. And even though sometimes I want to quit because of all the hater and criticism stuff and weird things people say to me, because I trigger people doing what I'm doing and I don't even know where their trigger will come from.
Right.
But it's like I just try to keep going because I feel like it gives my life a good purpose.
Well, it gives a lot of people inspiration, I'm sure. And that's the thing to remember is just like you could affect that one individual that will then have the courage to go out and do something similar or go start something else and help others. And it'll just kind of snowball from that. And you never know who it is that you're going to trigger or help in that way. So,
Yeah, I hope
worth
so.
it.
Yeah.
So that's all we can really do, right? Just be
Yeah.
ourselves. And for me, I mean, I'm lucky. I feel like I got a calling. I had a purpose like slapped at me. You know, some people want that. You know, maybe they don't know what their purpose is. And, you
Right.
know, I would tell people not to fret. You know, I didn't know I was going to get one at my particular age that I got it. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I say, however, you're serving others, that's your purpose. Just serve others, but do it to the best of your ability. Do it with integrity as best you can. Don't screw over your brethren because in spirit, we're all brethren. And, you know, don't screw other people over. Try to, you know, deal with them with integrity and kindness and compassion.
Right.
That's all you can hope for that people will do.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say too, is if you're doing things with the right intention, with good intentions, and you keep following that, whatever that voice is with that in mind, then yeah, I think you should be okay regardless of all the bullies and all the lashback or whatever you might get. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to look different for everyone, and because we're all unique and we all have different expressions of that, and we all have these gifts that we're, you know, born with to give in our own unique way of how that service can look, that love that we can share. So that's
Absolutely.
the beauty of it. Yeah.
Perfect point. Like just
Yeah.
get whatever God-given talents you have, just utilize them and serve others.
Mhm.
You know, I have a really big cool quote over here actually. It's a movie quote. Service to others, there is no higher purpose.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
from that movie Peaceful Warrior. You should watch it.
Ooh, I didn't see
Oh,
that.
okay.
Really entertaining movie and it has a lot of cool stuff to think about, enlightenment quotes and stuff. And so I put that quote on the board to remind
Very
myself,
Yeah.
you know.
I was going to ask, I don't know what you guys want to discuss next, but I was going to ask what you've been working on recently or what you've done since we met in Mount Shasta in the summer. Any new developments or things you're doing?
Well, I finally finished my book. Even though I finished it, I went back and decided it wasn't finished and had to add more tweak to it. But it's called The Angel's Guide to Manifesting Your Dreams and Romantic Partnership. And it's basically, it has some basic manifestation instructions, you know, how you get from idea to product.
Mhm.
It really starts with meditating on on your inner voice, and do it with a pen and paper. And so the book, it's more like a kid's playbook, but for adults. So it's like got pages where you can plan your life bucket list. And of course, this is going to be stuff that you work on over the years. Like, it's literally a book you can have forever to make sure that you're crossing stuff off your bucket list.
Mm.
But it's just provides people with a medium to plan things they want to do, want to have, want places they want to go. There's pages for them to make vision board, stick pictures of what they want as a vision board.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a workbook. And when I completed it, I felt like I was complete. I was like, even if I don't make anything else in my life, I feel complete, that I finished the main things that I have had ideas for, which were to have the romantic relationship guidance cards. The CD was my first product, and then the book. This is kind of like, I don't know, it just feels right, because they're all in service to others. My products are meant to help other people because they are things that have helped me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. That book and how you use that, or how people can utilize that. Did you do something similar, and did you get to achieve the things you wanted to in that way by utilizing that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I actually started my own life bucket list just on a regular piece of paper, like back in college, and just a whole bunch of things that I wanted to do. And I've crossed most of them off. One thing I've never got to do yet is visit Europe or Italy. But now with the whole COVID crap, I don't even know if it's going to happen, but maybe. But
Maybe.
most other things I have finished or accomplished and done.
Yeah,
I'm
that
sure you'll
process
get
is
it.
Yeah. I was gonna say that process is so powerful, but actually putting those ideas on paper and in the
Yes.
manifesting process, because so many people go their whole lives, they have, oh, someday I want to do this, and it's just a thought in their mind. But until you actually physically put it down somewhere and you can like have it to look at and to remember it and to, it's actually a thing that's in your life very versus just an idea that's out somewhere in your mind. It really sets the stage for your subconscious to draw things in from the universe and really helps your energetic body be
Yeah.
attuned to your heart and where you want to go. So it's so powerful. I'm glad you're doing that. I think that's an awesome tool for sure.
Eloquently worded, exactly. And I'm a huge proponent of to-do lists. Like, just I have notepads and sticky notepads all over my house. It's like, when I get an idea, if I don't write it down, it could just go out. So it's like, I'm like, oh, I got to write this down. So it's like, I have to-do lists, but it could literally be anything from something I need to do today or tomorrow or this week, this month, or 10 years from now. I want to have a house, like, just write stuff down. You're way more likely to get it done. And I'm one of those people where I like to cross things off. It feels good. Cross it off, check mark it, whatever. Like, I love that stuff. Nowadays people are all about their phones, but if you're that kind of person, guess what? They have an app for that. There's like a checklist you can have. And I use that too, because sometimes I'm running out in the world and I don't have a sticky note to write something on. So I literally have this like check mark thing. You can click, it's like your errands, and you can create tasks and check mark it. So if you're a technological person, you can do it that way instead of the old pen and paper route. Like,
I still think there's so much more power with the pen and paper. I think
I agree.
there's really
That's why I
something
loved
to
it. Yeah. I have an
I think-
old-fashioned planner in my purse. I don't use my phone planner.
Yeah,
My wife does this, like, she always writes things down, like every night. She has an agenda. She's very organized that way. I don't do that, but I think we talked about this even on your show, that how I even met my wife, and it was through me doing that every night, writing down what I wanted, and doing it for a whole month before I went to bed, and even just saying it like a mantra before you go to bed or when you wake up. Like, the power of that. I mean, I just did it blindly without because a friend told me to do that. Even my brother, Dan, you told me that's so important. So I was like, I'll give it a try. And lo and behold, that stuff really works if you really stick with it. It works. Yeah. It's powerful.
Thanks for sharing that. I mean, that's inspiring. How did that help you meet your wife? I want to know. I love to hear that kind of story.
Honestly, I mean, people could say that's just pure coincidence, but to me, I don't think so. And I've tried for years and years and years to find somebody, and for whatever reasons, it didn't happen when earlier on in my life, because probably I had other things I needed to do and with career, whatever. But within that few short amount of time from when I started writing in that month, I mean, within less than a month later, basically that's how we met. It's very serendipitous and very just out of the blue, random how we did that. But nevertheless, I hold a lot of that to how I met her. Plus, I actually wrote down on my birthday a couple of years before the traits I wanted, all the traits I wanted in my wife or the significant other who I was going to meet, and I signed it, the date, my birthday, and and everything was pretty much on that list too. So
wow, that's super cool. And that's also in my book as well. It has some pages to write down things that you do want in a partnership. It has things you want in a person. It has things that you don't want, because that's important too. You need to know your deal breakers. So it has pages for just plotting and planning, like at least have a framework to know what will work for you and what won't work for you. Basic stuff. But you got to be open to, I mean, you never know what your soulmate's going to actually look like. You don't know when, where, who, the spark, the magic is just going to happen. But you do need to at least have an idea of things you want and don't want, because if you don't know those things, you're going to find out the hard way.
Exactly. What a good point. That's such an important point. And the fact that you should never try to plan or know how you're going to get from point A to point B. Never, ever. The journey is the whole point, and you cannot basically control that process. It is just a process that can be completely random, and you trying to figure out how those steps are involved is going to destroy the whole aspect of you getting there. You're going to basically probably sabotage yourself from not getting what you want, basically by saying it has to work out this way. And oh no, that didn't work. So that means I'm not going to get to the end of the rainbow that I want. Like, you cannot think that way. Like, the universe will align with your intention and with your purpose. You just have to hold that thought, hold that emotion, because it's an emotion and emotional intelligence that was brought up at the conference in Mount Shasta. Like, our emotional intelligence is so important in aligning our heart and our brain, and when they're in sync, that's what really drives us to getting what we want and holding that vision and achieving those goals. But that's really crucial, I think.
For sure. Yeah. It's so many people blow off their goals because they get so hung up on, well, I want that, but I'll never be able to get it because I don't know how I'd ever get there. I don't know how. They get messed up on the how to stuff. But you really just have to align, like you said, the emotion with the intention and holding that energy of where you want to be.
Oh,
you glitched out.
Oh, could you hear me okay?
I don't know where you start over, because you started and then it froze up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just talking about how people get caught up on the how and they blow off their goals. You just got to be focused on what it is you want and why it is you want it, and having that purpose and passion behind it. And it's the energy and the intention together that can actually manifest it, not just the details and being too analytical on what's going to get you there. And there's actually science behind that. Like Joe Dispenza talks a lot about that. For manifesting things and creating your own reality, it's really all about your energy, the emotion, and mixed with a set intention is really what attracts that to you. That's how, like, the law of attraction actually works. They've scientifically have proven these things. So it's a good process to really just understand and to be able to master. And it's so easy. I mean, if you really just focus and think about it, It's just using your heart and your mind together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some fun words that could describe that stuff is having hope and faith.
Mhm.
And definitely, I would encourage people to look more into that. Like watch the documentary called The Secret. They go really in deep depth about the law of attraction and how to make it work for you.
Mhm.
So I know that I struggle with it because I feel like we have fears. I feel like fear is there all the time and it's exhausting. And one of my poster boards, which I don't have with me, but it says, make your courage greater than your fears. It's like you just have to force yourself to move past your fears, force yourself beyond the comfort zone and try new things. Or, if God presents you with a door or an opportunity, you got to have that courage to do it, or the fear will hold you back and you could miss a beautiful opportunity.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to know the difference. And then sometimes
Mhm.
it's, you just don't know it. In that moment, if it passes you by, it might never come around again. So you just never know. And everyone's life is different, but you just got to pay attention for the
Oh yeah.
doors and opportunities. And
Yeah.
sometimes God will bring you things in mysterious ways.
Yep. A lot of times the fear is so crippling, like you mentioned. But a lot of times, if you face that fear, on the other side of it is like the biggest reward that you could even imagine. Like your life could be so changed just facing those fears. And so the thing you fear the most, once you are able to break through and overcome that, it's just going to open up your life to so much abundance and stuff you never thought was possible. Is what I found from that. I think it's definitely true. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Well, do y'all feel complete or any other questions or?
Well, so you have your show on YouTube, right?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
it streams to my YouTube and my Facebook,
Okay.
everything. I have two YouTube channels and I have a Facebook profile, a page, and a group.
Okay.
So it streams to all of that.
Yeah. And so what, just so people know, like what's the general gist of your show? Are you like interviewing people, or what's your typical topics and kind of things like that you like to do?
Yes, 95% of the time I have a guest, and I choose my guests based on what they're doing in the world. Are they helping humanity? But also I've had a couple of guests where like for instance, one time I had a girl who was blind. And so I was basically had her as a guest to for multiple reasons. So she could tell people what it's like to be blind, and also to encourage people to have integrity when dealing with blind people, not take advantage of them or mistreat them, or not count their change properly and screw them over. Like, so my show is devoted to helping others, whether it's through enlightenment, encouragement, uh, guidance, advice in different ways. And one time I've had two transgender, but for two different reasons. One was about nonviolent communication, and the other one was really, she was discussing her journey, how she went from, man transition to woman, and her difficulty and her advice for others, and going through that. Because I think as people, as humans, we're all unique and different. When you look at the animal kingdom, they're all unique and different, weird colors, and same with humans. And we have to be more sensitive to other types of people. And a lot of these other types of people, like transgender or gay people, like they get a lot more bullying than we can even imagine. And it's because they're misunderstood. And so my point of having controversial guests might be for them to share their viewpoint of living and their struggles, to create hopefully compassion for their type or whatever, their situation.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, that's great.
Inspire others who are dealing with similar situations of what to do and things. Yeah. So it can be, people can learn so much from someone's story for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And everyone's different, so they really just have to, they can take advice and apply it to their own life, but at the same time not feel pressured or
Mhm.
forced to like come out of the closet. everyone's life is different. Maybe they have really constraining circumstances that could put their life in danger for some reason, or, everybody's got to make their own choices for their highest good. And I can just light a way or highlight advice, but it's never meant to force or pressure. It's just a talk show to try to help people.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, same. It's difficult for us sometimes. I mean, depending who we have as guests or the topics that we go into, but we never want to be really political. We just want to have different points of view and perspectives, and have a place where you can share that information freely. It's not for us to tell people what they should believe or what they should do, and we should be accepting to most people's ideas as long as it's not inflicting harm on others. And that's the main goal, I think, in the end. But I'm glad that you could that you're sharing with us now, because it's like sort of towards the holidays right now. Your message is very positive and inspiring, and we do go into a lot of dark stuff on our show at some points in time, depending who we're talking with. And we just want to show both sides of that too, because there's a lot of positive, and there's out in the world itself, and we need to hopefully focus on that more going forward, and help to try to make that contagious and grow, and spread the light, spread the love, but also do it in a intelligent way, in a I guess with not being too naive at what's there out there in the world at the same time. So
well, I think it's cool, and just keep at it. And I appreciate what you're doing. You can't have the light without the shadow. It goes hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. The shadow has a purpose. Whatever it exists in it has its own purpose too, which sometimes sucks, but again, that's a perception.
Yeah.
So everybody's got their own unique perception. And so the higher consciousness people say that we are all a manifestation of God, of one creative energy, and we all have our own unique perception of just observing life. Our own eyes are just a unique observation of everything that's created.
Yep.
And then we reincarnate and have a new perspective, and I don't know, to each his own. You can believe what you want to believe. I think life is confusing. Like what the shadow side with my mission is dealing with the bullies, like that challenges me, because I'm sitting here trying to be all love and light and serve others, and then if people are attacking me as a human wants to lash out and defend myself, and I can only take so much. I'm not a Mother Teresa. I'm like, I will try to take a certain amount, but then once a threshold is crossed, like it's like where you got to switch into warrior mode and protect yourself. You can't just have someone swinging at you and just knock you down. You got to fight. There are times in life you're forced to fight back.
Like nuns with guns. That's the image I have in my head. Nuns with guns.
Self-defense. Sometimes you're forced into those situations, whether it's verbally or physically or whatever. And that's like I have this picture behind me of the warrior goddess. Like I just think it's an inspiring figure, because sometimes I do feel like I have to have a energy shield. In fact, I do that a lot when I go to big events. Is I will try to remember to put up my spiritual energy shields that I know how to do, just to protect myself as best I can, because you never know what whispers are going on behind your back. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, hold that positive space. I mean, whether you pray or not, or whether you just kind of say your intentions before you go to bed, like I think I feel like it's important more now than ever. I mean, individually, but even just holding that kind of protection over what's going on right now. We need that. Yeah.
I have is it okay if I get a copy of this show?
Definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. I'd love to put it out there so people can see what I've said about what I've said on this show, I think, is stuff I haven't shared before, and I think it's kind of pertinent to my existence.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you so much for
Yeah.
you guys' time and having me as a guest. I appreciate it, and I've really enjoyed our co-creative chats. It's very enlightening and refreshing.
Yeah,
Great. We
definitely.
loved having you. Yeah.
Yeah, this was great. Really, really good time. And for everyone out there, please check out Mandelyn Reese, the Street Angel at her website, thestreetangel.com, and her YouTube channel and her Facebook.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mandelyn.